Welcome, NFL fans and NFL draft fans. I am the Oracle, the Cleveland Oracle. I usually talk about the Cleveland Browns because they're my favorite team, but really today I'm talking about the entire NFL draft. I specialize in making kind of unusual predictions or predictions that other people hesitate to make. I'm going to predict right now that the Cleveland Browns are going to draft a quarterback in the 2024 NFL draft. It's an easy prediction to make, actually, because it's already happened. The Cleveland Browns 2024 draft pick will be used to draft Deshaun Watson. Um, Mr. Watson, nothing against Mr. Watson, but the Browns used three first round draft picks to draft Mr. Watson, and six in all. And the Browns have no first round draft picks this year. Of course, they think that I don't need any first round draft picks. The second round draft picks are just as good, if not better. And we're going to have a great draft anyway. And we have our quarterback now. And the fact that he's had shoulder surgery doesn't concern us in the slightest. Okay. Yeah, that's basically what it's like in Cleveland. The rest of the NFL, however, is just agog with quarterbacks that are going to save the franchise of various franchises around the NFL. And let's talk about that. Quarterback madness and afflicts the Chicago Bears probably most of all. For those who have video, you can see a slide on PowerPoint. It's not April Fool's Day, but it might as well be. And Bears fans, we in Cleveland can feel your pain. We are experts at this sort of thing. And, we went through this, especially about 10 years ago with the Haslams as rookie owners, and they just did this sort of thing. Um, if you're a Bears fan or maybe even the Bears owner, you just can't wait to fire Coach Matt Eberflus. Let's get rid of the coach. And you feel better because you just fired your first string quarterback, Justin Fields. You didn't even get anything back from him. I think it was a sixth round pick from the Pittsburgh Steelers. By the way, thanks for that. That's one thing we didn't need to have is another good quarterback in the AFC North. It's already tough enough to earn a living in this division. But that's what happened. Justin Fields is now Pittsburgh Steeler. He probably has to await his turn because why? Russell Wilson is also donated very kindly by the Denver Broncos, and he is also a Pittsburgh Steeler. But okay, and they're not paying anything for those two quarterbacks either, basically. They also, by the way, lose wide receiver Darnell Mooney, really talented receiver. Didn't have a great year last year, but I think he's a pretty good receiver. And what do? Well, you draft a rookie quarterback, and that will solve all of the problems of the Chicago Bears. That's basically the way that the logic goes. And now, Fields haters, I got to lecture you a little bit. We in Ohio know about him from his days in Ohio State. But let me just tell you what we know in Cleveland, that if you put any quarterback on a team with a bad offensive line, bad receivers, and a poor running game and bad coaching, why would you think that you're going to win? Why do you think that the quarterback should accumulate a positive one-loss record just based on his ability and not based on any talent around him? Anyway, so that's what the Bears did to Fields. They drafted the quarterback. They didn't have any draft picks because of other deals that they had made, kind of like the Browns. And just when he started to have some success last season, they decided they would blow it up. Okay, great. So instead of building the rest of the offense this season, and they have two first round draft picks, not much else. But the big change on offense will be what? Yes, of course, it will be a quarterback. And there's plenty of tape on Justin Fields that shows that he's a very talented passer and he can also run real fast. We don't really want him to run, though. We want him to throw the ball if we're a Fields fan. Speaking of Fields, we like to promote charities on this show, and Justin Fields has his own foundation, or actually not his own, but one that he shares with us called the Justin Fields Foundation. Justin Fields Foundation is dedicated to strengthening communities through focused grant making and strategic partnership in the areas of youth empowerment, scholastic achievement, health, wellness, and leadership development. So that's pretty awesome stuff. He does a lot of work with children, has served the Chicago area faithfully. And I think he's probably going to carry that over to Pittsburgh, and he'll be really a pillar of the community. So good for you, Justin Fields. And we'll take a commercial break now at this time, somewhere between 3 seconds and 3 minutes for our commercial sponsors. Very grateful to you. Thank you to Fans First Sports Network, and also welcome back Johnny Cleveland from his European trip. He's ready and loaded with all sorts of commercial sponsors for us, and we'll just take that pause right now. And we are back. Let's talk about what it is that we expect from quarterbacks in the NFL draft. The Browns were specialists in this. Of course, the Browns had drafted Baker Mayfield first overall in 2018, so we know something about this process. What do they talk about when they talk about a generational talent, which is a more polite way or precise way of talking about a franchise quarterback? And, I think there are different ways we can kind of quantify what we think we mean when we're going to get this very special talent in the building. And Bill Parcells, very famous coach for the New York Giants, several other teams, had listed some criteria, which I've adapted a little bit because the modern athlete doesn't play 4 years all the time like he used to. But anyway, yeah, the best quarterback that's going to be this first overall pick, better than the pass rushing defensive lineman, more valuable than the offensive tackle that does it all, is going to be a guy that has multiple years of college success and stats, preferably in a major conference. Not all the time, but preferably. It's going to be a guy that really has a rocket arm. He can run fast. He's elusive, has good ball skills. All right. Also, he's a field general. Now, sometimes people like to use the word game manager to make fun of a quarterback that they don't like. But that's exactly what the quarterback does, is manage the offense and get them to run plays and do what they're supposed to do. So let's call it field general. That's a more polite, aggressive sounding term, but that's exactly what we mean. Somebody that has football smarts, not necessarily a great mathematical mind, but we mean that they're generally able to make intelligent decisions on the field, and perhaps that has some relationship to do with academics, but we're not really that into grade point average in school. It means something, but not everything. We're really talking about football smarts overall. We're also talking about somebody that has great physical attributes, somebody that's big, somebody that's tall, 6'3", let's say, and maybe 220, 230 pounds or something like that. And we want to see also a good citizen. This is the face of the franchise. We want to have minimal off the field distractions. We don't want to be laughed at, and we certainly don't want to get in trouble with the law. And we just can't have that. So that's, if you don't have this, that doesn't mean you can't play quarterback, but I'm not sure that we should draft you first overall if we're lucky enough to have that pick. You should not be drafted ahead of somebody like the next Myles Garrett, for example, a pass rusher that can turn a game around, and probably, I believe that a really good all-pro defensive end is probably worth 4 or 5 points to the point spread. I may be in a minority on that position, but I believe that defensive players really do affect the point spread very significantly, depending on who they are. All right, so let's talk about Baker Mayfield. He was picked first overall. How did he rate? Did he have multiple years of college success? Major conference? Yes, he did. Did he have a rocket arm? Yeah, he did. A lot of people say that he didn't because they don't know what they're talking about and because he was smallish. But I guarantee you that he can throw a football as well as anybody. This side of Patrick Mahomes, that is. But, he's reasonably elusive. but not a dominant runner. So I'll give a qualified yes for that. Does he have field general skills? Football smarts? Yes, he does. Absolutely. What about the decent size? 6'3", 230? No, that's not Baker. Baker is 6'1", where he's kind of stretched out. I don't know what they did. Probably put him on a rack for a few hours before they get measured. And he weighed 209. He probably swallowed lead fishing sinkers before he got weighed. I don't know. He doesn't look quite that big, but he's big enough to play quarterback. I don't think there's any doubt about that, but not really the premier physical prospect that you'd like to see for first overall. What about off the field distractions? Well, he did get in trouble with the law a few times. So, I think I would ding him a few points for that. So I think that Baker deserved to be a first round pick. I think first overall, especially in retrospect, was a stretch. I did not have him as first overall in my draft. I had Josh Allen as first overall. And even then, I pushed Josh a little bit high because he did not have fantastic stats, and he did not play at a premier football power school. Nevertheless, you can look up my blog and see what I'm talking about. What about Bryce Young? This is something, where we're talking about, the press basically talked him up last year about what a generational quarterback he was, and, what a fantastic leader he is, and he can do this and do that. Let's go down a list. Successful at college? Stats? Yes, 100%. What about the rocket arm? Well, good arm, not great. Speed, pretty good. Elusiveness, pretty good. Ball skills, yes, but not a dominant runner. He's not going to be a running threat to gain lots of yards like Lamar Jackson or somebody like that, or Josh Allen for that matter. Field general skills, football smarts, academics, yes, absolutely. He's one of the smartest quarterbacks that Alabama ever produced. Just tremendous from everything that everybody ever said about him. What about the decent size requirement? Well, um, he was 5'10", 204. That's not big. That's not big enough. That's really very small. So we need to ding him for that, I would think. Um, that's if not a red flag, that's a yellow flag at least. And then, okay, but off the field distractions, he had an excellent record. So he's a proven college performer. I'm not sure that he's one of the great pros in the game. What was C.J. Stroud lacking? He went second in the draft. He was 5 inches taller, 14 pounds heavier, a much stronger arm. Well, I don't know. We'll have to think about that one, but the first year returns look like Stroud was a lot better. Let's talk about what our expectations are that are reasonable. What I did was I just used a proxy. In other words, not the real thing that we're after, but just something that's kind of close. And I said, let's just take the yardage leaders for 2024 in order, and let's consider where they were drafted and what year, and see who these guys are. So I went down the list, and I'll just read it to you for those who do not have video. It's Tua, Jared Goff, Dak, Josh Allen, Brock, Patrick Mahomes, Jordan Love, CJ, Baker, and then Trevor. Okay, that's the list. And then when did they get drafted, and what year did they get drafted? Tua's round 1, 2020. Jared, round 1, first overall in 2016. Dak was a round 4 guy in 2016, same draft. Josh Allen, round 1, 2018, same round as Baker. Brock Purdy, round 7. I don't know how they missed him, but they did in 2022. Patrick, round 1, 2017. Jordan Love, round 1, 2020. CJ, round 1, 2023. Baker, round 1. Oh, I put the wrong year on that. I'm sorry. That was 2018. And he was first overall. And Trevor, round 1 of 2021. So that's about 1.2 quarterbacks per year since 2016. So in other words, you're going to get about one of these uh, top 10 guys, one per year. That's it. And of those top 10, um, you know, we had two of them were from outside the first round. So, a little, well, actually, yeah, actually it works out to be just about one per year because there's 10 quarterbacks in 8 years, but two of them were outsiders from round 4 and round 7, respectively. So a lot of them are first round picks, but there's only one per year on the average that really excels and winds up at the top of the list. So, and once every 3 years, a team hits on drafting a quarterback first overall. And I mentioned also, however, that Kyler Murray and Joe Burrow were injured this year and they didn't have the opportunity to show up on this list. They would have displaced somebody. But okay. So that's kind of what you can expect. You don't see like 5 guys from 1 year making it onto the list. You don't see that. You see one guy, maybe 2 guys from the same class, not 5. But nevertheless, we have talked ourselves into believing that there are 6 franchise quarterbacks in the 2024 draft. I think that we in the media are insane. There can't be this many quarterbacks in the NFL draft that are that good. There just can't. Let's start with Caleb Williams from USC. He's 23 years old, or at least will be by the time the season rolls around. That's how I've listed everybody's age. 6'1", 215. Same height as Baker Mayfield. Now, Baker Mayfield was too short, but Caleb Williams at 6'1" is just the right height, and he weighs a few pounds more than Baker. Drake May, North Carolina. Now, we like that. He's 22. He's younger, and, therefore we think that the younger quarterbacks uh, have more growth potential, that he'll get better as the years go by, whereas the older guys we think are more closer to being tapped out, I should say. So they're not going to go as far. Uh, they're not going to grow as much as somebody that's younger. Does that make sense? So Drake is 6'4", 230. He's a big kid. We like that. Jaden Daniels, LSU, 23, 6'4", 210. Same comment. We'd probably like to see him muscle up a little bit, but yeah, he's a big kid. Can move around, see over linemen, that sort of thing. J.J. McCarthy. J.J. McCarthy from the school up north. He is only 21 years old. He's 6'3". He's 202. Still a kid. I'd like to see you beef up, but that's why you can't be, a top 5 pick in this draft. You're just too small, dude. But other than that, you've got all the other boxes are ticked. Well, he's not really the most fantastic bazooka arm that we've ever seen, but he's accurate and he doesn't throw a lot of interceptions. He can run your offense. We like that. Michael Penix Jr. From Washington, 6'3", 212. He's an old guy at 24, so maybe he won't progress as much as somebody that's age 21. That would be my opinion. Of course, the Browns specialize in this sort of thing. Remember, we drafted Brandon Weeden at age 28, and he just never really developed, or maybe we should say he already developed by the time they drafted him and never got much better. Bo Nix, the same situation, age 24. He's 6'2", 218. These guys are, all of them are really kind of on the small side, except for maybe Drake May is the one that's really an impressive prospect. So hopefully these guys will muscle up a little bit in training camp. But the 24-year-olds probably need to get game action relatively soon, whereas the younger guys, especially J.J. McCarthy, I would think they need to sit for a while. and they should not be starting the games right away, in my opinion. But I really take issue with the notion that there are as many as six franchise quarterbacks in the 2024 draft. It would be amazing if more than one or two make it to the top 10 in, let's say, 8 years from now. And so, what about our guy, Caleb? Well, I'm maybe not as impressed as many of my colleagues. I think he should be a first round draft pick. However, what about his multiple years of college success? Yes, he did have great success, but I don't want to go nuts about statistics in the Pac-12, especially in the post-COVID era. I think that they were harmed a lot because of the way that they, as a conference, handled the COVID situation. They're still recovering from that. And he also lost 5 of the last 6 games he played. So I'm not that impressed. Does he have a rocket arm? Does he have speed? Well, yeah, he's fast. He's elusive. He can throw accurate passes, but he throws a lot of sidearm passes. Is that what you want for the first overall pick? Is guys that throw sidearm? I don't know. Is he a field general? Does he have football smarts? Yes, but he's kind of known as an eccentric personality. He's a little bit out there, and not that there's anything wrong with that, but there's not something there that makes you feel like, oh yeah, this is the perfect personality for a quarterback to have. So I think that you've got to approach that with a little bit of caution. It doesn't seem to me to be something that makes me want to boost him up to the first overall draft pick of the 2024 draft. What about his size? This one I just really don't get. He's the same height as Baker Mayfield. Now, Baker Mayfield, everybody knows, is too short. This guy is the same height. He's not too short. I don't know why not. Baker didn't weigh enough. This guy is 7 pounds heavier. Is that enough to become a big bruising running back? Maybe so. But I don't believe he has appropriate size for a first overall draft pick. I think yes, he can play NFL quarterback, but I'm not expecting him to be a generational talent. And off the field distractions, I'd say that he's been a good citizen, but he's also famous for generating distractions. Like, oh, maybe I want to be given part ownership of the team that drafts me, and uh, you know, uh, really call unnecessary attention to himself. And it's okay if you're uh, a different kind of individual that can be encouraged, but it's not the classic kind of quarterback personality that teams are comfortable with. I don't see why we want to boost him up to first overall pick just because the press is enamored with him. I don't know that I think any of the quarterbacks in this season's draft needs to be first overall. And so that, in fact, is the Bears' plan. They already threw away their first string quarterback. I don't know that I think that in year one, Caleb is going to be better than Justin Fields. I kind of doubt it. I think Justin Fields, if he plays, will probably have a higher winning percentage, higher quarterback rating uh, than Caleb. We'll find out. But they're investing in a quarterback with an unpredictable personality, and I'm not sure that they'll get a guy that's committed to them in the long run, especially if they revert to their losing ways. They had a good year last year. Um, they made some important acquisitions on the defensive line, and all of a sudden they were really monstrously good on defense. They did take a hit in free agency, didn't really replace guys, and they're maybe hoping to have a good draft. But I think they only have 4 draft picks. 2 of them are first round, which is great. But I don't know. And they expect immediate improvement on offense because they're drafting a rookie quarterback. I'm not real. I'm not real wild about this. I just really am not. That's uh, that's what we're seeing out of Chicago, and there will be different narratives from different cities. I think the pressure is really on the team that has the first overall pick because the clamor for drafting a quarterback um, is so strong. They know in Chicago that the front office has the capability of drafting any quarterback that they want. And so the expectation is that they will draft a quarterback and he will be a franchise quarterback and he will have immediate success and it will be a wild success on the level of CJ Stroud and nothing else will be acceptable. And I really have trouble seeing that from this current crop of quarterbacks. And again, I point out that on the average, you only have one quarterback per year uh, that make it out of the first round and become a really top quarterback in the NFL. You don't have six quarterbacks, and I'm not sure that it's Caleb Williams is the guy that's going to emerge rather than any of the other uh, five guys that are presumed to be first round draft picks this season. I'm not sure that he's going to be, in other words, rookie quarterback of the year when everything is said and done at the end of the 2024 season. So that's what I think. I think that quarterback is overhyped. I will say this, however, that I would rather have an overhyped rookie quarterback than overhype a veteran quarterback and spend $65 million a year just on one position. Now, that is not the fault of the quarterback himself. I want to be very clear that I believe in Deshaun Watson's ability, but I also believe that the front office was at fault for overpaying for that ability. I think historically, teams that have won the Super Bowl have averaged about 10% of the salary cap uh, hit on a quarterback, on the first string quarterback. So, that would be something on the order of, where are we at? Like 240 million. I forgot exactly what the numbers, but something like $25 million a season or less would be appropriate for the quarterback. Right now, the NFL as a whole has elevated the quarterback salary scale much beyond historical levels. And I'm not talking about just raw dollars from inflation, but I'm talking about as a percentage of the total that the team has. The quarterback is hogging up an amazing amount of percentage that has never been reached in history, and there's no reason for it. The quarterback has not gotten that much better than the rest of the team, and just because you, and particularly the Patrick Mahomes scale, there are a lot of quarterbacks that are getting paid more than Patrick Mahomes, but just because you pay them more than Patrick Mahomes doesn't mean that they play better or that they are actually better players than Patrick Mahomes. I think that the NFL as a whole is overly obsessed with quarterbacks. I'd rather have a uh, more average quarterback, pay an average salary for that quarterback, give me the rest of the uh, money back, and I want to invest in pass rushers for the defensive line, and I want some cornerbacks that can cover some of these wide receivers, and I'll just take my chances. That's what I think. 90% of the rest of the world believes that I'm crazy, and I'm cool with that. So for now, I'm signing off, wishing everyone to have a great week. God bless and go Browns.